what's your honest take of how everything's going to go? What do you think of the industry right now?
There's a couple of things missing, but the structure of our market here in our hemp market and the rules that we must all abide by is very similar to already what a recreational cannabis market offers. Everything's getting ripped apart and separated, or in any THC state, hemp is banned. In Texas here, we can figure out how to give the hemp businesses the regulations needed to be able to do what we are currently doing, and then just do it more in compliance and just what regulations do come, so
totally agree with that, dude. It's the Texas Growers Podcast. Welcome back, everybody. We have a great episode today, but first, you're going to have to listen to me talk for a little bit. So, the things we've been seeing here in Texas have been monumental. They have gained national recognition from all kinds of actors and operators in the industry, as well as media outlets, and even politicians and industries that are against us, which we'll probably talk about here in this video. But it's not possible without going through the motions and spending the 20 hours at the Capitol like most of us have done, and putting our names on the record, putting a testimony on the record, and making history for Texas. So this is one of our first episodes back again after a second round at the Capitol, fighting for a plant, your rights, your freedom, and your access to this in Texas. And I just wanted to commend everyone who's been a part of this and shout everyone out. You know who you are. If you're a leader in this industry and you've been showing up, we are making waves here. And everybody represents thousands of other Texans that need access to this. And those people are behind you. And that's why it keeps me in the fight. And I'm sure the same can be said for you. Today, we're going to talk about a great brand from a great person who has exploded and has been taking over the industry. And we're going to talk about why they are unique and why you should buy in and support them if you're looking for high quality products shipped to your door. This is a seasoned plant medicine expert and a entrepreneur. I'm proud to introduce Brent Bird from thisthat CBD. What's going on, man?
Hey.
We're going to talk about thisthat. We're going to get into the different products. But first, I really want to open up with the story of everything. We see the brand with the puffin. The name, is catchy. It's kitschy. But I want to open up, because everybody usually has a personal story of why they're in this space, or, this, that, and the other. But yeah, just open up with your story and tell everybody who you are, what drives you, and, what really gets you going for this industry.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Colton, for having me on your show.
Of course, dude.
And this is a real pleasure and a very, very much an honor. So, I've been, I think since 12, using, maybe 13, started using cannabis at a very young age. And at that time, I was also being told by my mother and the doctors and everybody that I was ADD, ADHD, and all. So I remember when I used cannabis for the first time, it was the first time I felt like in a more centered, calmer state. It was really cool. And I remember I got stoned and then I went home and I did my homework, and I never do my homework. I sat there and I got it all done patiently. And it was oh my goodness, that was, what a thing. That is not, I was all over the place. I always wanted to be outside playing, but I had the hardest time sitting and doing schoolwork because I didn't like to sit still. I like to go play and do all these things. So yeah, it was at that time I realized, oh my gosh, my mom's trying to give me Ritalin, Adderall, and I love her. She loves me. It wasn't a thing, but I was much more into using cannabis instead. So I would fake taking the pills. I took the pill and I would put it in my pocket and leave, and then, get high before school or whatever. And that was great. I did decently in school, which actually surprises me. But so anyhow, that was my start of self-medication and realizing that what they were saying about the plant wasn't true for me. It's fine if, other people, everyone has their own, if weed ruined your life, that's the story you tell yourself and how that is. But for me, cannabis has been medicine from a very, very early age, to where I was oh my gosh, they're lying.
Yeah.
or for me, it works. So my parents used to drug test me when I was in high school and tried to keep me from hanging out with people who knew might have the pot or whatever, you know. And, it was just a very dramatic experience at a young age, to where I was having to lie about it and hide it and all these things. And then, my father is currently 99 years old and lives in San Antonio, Texas, and he's awesome, and he's a musician, plays trumpet, sings piano, he plays piano. He was teaching music and worked in the music retail industry his entire life, and absolutely was not going to let his son be a pothead or smoke. And so he would test me very regularly.
Wow.
And it was just a thing. And so fast forward now, I'm 41 and he's 99. And of course, I'm very honest, and I try to educate him into what we're doing. And he is so supportive. He's never used, but he's now completely 180 to where it's like he accepts it. He doesn't need it for himself, but he's totally like, I see what you've done and you make me proud, you know. That's
Absolutely.
really, really, really cool for me. And so anyhow, that's my personal story with cannabis. And as from a business, I've went to the University of North Texas and studied jazz drums as a degree for music. And so I did that at a later age. At 27, I went back to school and studied music in Denton, Texas.
Wow. And
did that for 4 years. Didn't finish the degree, but got what I was in school for as a musician. In that time, I possibly was around cannabis quite a bit, and might have seen it growing regularly as well. And just too close. And at that time, this was 2014, prior to 2014, just 2010 to 2014 was what I was in school in Denton. And I just got a little too nervous about being around the plant so much and still being in a small town in Texas and being, doing music, and which was legal at the time, and then being around cannabis, which was not. So I just, in my head, I was like, I need to go somewhere where I can be myself 100% and not have to hide my love for the plant. So Oregon was where I ended up right when I finished the music school, 4 years there. I moved to Oregon pretty much the next day after I'd finished the school. And I went out there for music and marijuana and also Mount Hood. I love snowboarding and skiing. Right. And so I went out there and had 3 M's that made me like the happiest man in the world, doing music and marijuana and skiing and snowboarding all the time. So Oregon was a beautiful place. Moved out there in 2014, right before recreational cannabis had passed, and it was still in the medical days. And so I got involved in working at a recreational or a medical dispensary, and then kind of was with them as a manager all the way through, I'd say about the first 5 years of that market. I was working part-time or full-time at a dispensary, while I also started to get involved in wholesale operations. And I had a medical farm where a partner and I grew, and this was in the medical days, and we were selling our flower that we were growing in his 4-car garage to some dispensaries and stuff like that. So I kind of got an experience for what it was like to cultivate and then also go out and sell your product farm to market.
Did you learn a lot from working in a medical dispensary? To what aspect working there did you have to help people find the product for them,
So that is the story of how I got a job at a dispensary is, I will tell you because it's hilarious. So I moved out there and, always around the plants. So I'm out there, and I knew people who needed some of the plants I was around all the time. And so I was looking for more, and didn't know where to go. So I went to the owner of this dispensary. He was outside of his shop, and he was sweeping the street, making his shop pretty to open up his business. Super proud of his business. It was really cool. And I met this dude. His name's Harvey. He's a very close friend of mine. We hunt elk together every year. And so we are now friends for life. And so he's kind of a mentor. And so anyhow, long story short, Harvey was, brushing the street, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey man, I'm looking for like a pound of flour. Can you help me?" And he said, "Well, I can't because I don't know you, but I might need some help up in my shop up here. Do you roll joints?" And I said, "Man, I roll an amazing joint." And he was like, "Well, let's get to work." And so he like literally that day had me into his shop, and I started rolling joints, sitting on the ground, just like hand rolling pre-rolls, not even using any type of cone mechanism or anything. I was hand rolling these rolls for this guy, and he was selling them for like $10 a joint at his like medical dispensary at the time. And it was a trip, but did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, that's a good one.
And so now, flash forward, he ended up selling me that pound of flour I was looking for eventually after he learned that I was a good man and rolled a good joint and good company and all that.
But so you help people navigate to certain products working there? Or
so once I got this job, I started as their master joint roller, and I worked myself into what they called me the master bud tender. Right, and then I was also their, I started buying all the flour for the store and kind of doing a managerial intake position. Yeah. And that's kind of was my first job for them. And that's kind of where I stayed for almost 5 years. I worked for what's called the Oregon Weedery is the name of the shop. It's in Northwest Portland off of the very popular street called Northwest 23rd. And so anyhow, shout out to those guys. Amazing people. Shout out. But and so that was my entryway into the medical, recreational, legal cannabis scene, all of that story there. And over the course of the next, I want to say 5 years or so, I got connected with a brand called Buddy's Brand, and I was the very first salesperson that was hired to start this brand that started originally in Oregon, and then got so big in Oregon that it moved into California and Washington, and now I believe they're in 5 or 6 recreational cannabis states. But it was cool. I am the first salesperson that was hired to start this brand that is now in a huge brand in many, many states. So working for Buddies, I got so much experience in just the aspect of just wholesaling, but then also what it takes to do a brand correctly, build a brand, and then service your accounts correctly, and just really that's where I got my education on how to do what I now do for myself, which is the most fun, doing it for yourself. So I definitely encourage anyone and everyone to do it for themselves if they can. So, what
lands you back here in Texas to build this venture?
So I was working for the Buddies Brand, and right in 2019, 2020, I was still a sales rep for this Buddies Brand. And I was, I was just kind of like, I can do this for myself. I now I understand the formula that it takes to do a brand. And I have, I was earning good money at the time. I have extra money. What do I go buy stocks that I know nothing about, or do I invest in myself and start a company for myself? And then my decision was to invest in myself. And so then I basically, let's see here. I was on Amazon, and this was December of 2019, and I was just chilling, and I found somebody that was selling hemp pre-rolls on Amazon, and my mind was blown. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this person's smart, and they're early to the market," because I hadn't seen this before. So I was like, "I can do this right now." And so within like a day, I formed an LLC and got that thing going, and started working on a brand, so then brings me to the story of behind the image of my logo, and kind of, because this around that time was when all that was kind of decided on and formed. And so basically, my last name is Bird, so I hired a company in Oregon who has designed many of the large cannabis brands in Oregon, and I hired this firm and said, "Hey, would you guys help me come out with what I would need, a logo and kind of like, some early brand assets to get this thing going, And so they jumped on with me, and they were like, "What do you want your logo to be?" And I said, "My last name is Bird. I would love a bird to be my logo." And then their designer there was like, "Oh, you know what? Let's do a puffin, because you're in the cannabis industry." And so the puffin was his spin on the bird, but the logo is my last name, and that is why it is that. So it's that. And then, the name THisthat is I don't know how I thought of it, other than there was a company driving in Oregon. There was a company, and they had like a sign in their there was a board and it said this with a period, and it was like an architecture firm, and their company was called This with a period. And I was like, oh, somebody got that. I love that, because I wanted to come out with kind of like a pack of hemp pre-rolls that wouldn't get you high, that would kind of keep you either from smoking nicotine if you were trying to get off of nicotine. I was trying to come up with some sort of
just for like the
nicotine
oral
alternative.
Action. Yeah.
And then so I had partnered with a very, very amazing CBD farm in Southern Oregon called East Fork Cultivars. And at this time now, East Fork is they grow the cleanest hemp and cannabis, because they have both in Oregon. They have both licenses for both and grow both into both markets. But they are one of the premier genetic seed cultivators and providers for the country. A lot of people lean on them for some of the CBD genetics that they've created for the hemp market, which is really cool. I partnered with them early on. So I had this bomb material that I could put in these pre-rolls, and I was like, man, I'm going to go do this. And the first brand that I tried to mirror an image was American Spirit, because you remember they have the yellow pack, the blue pack, the black pack. And I kind of liked that. I didn't smoke cigarettes, but at a time I did in my life, but not at this time. But I was like, I want to do that, because I was thinking, man, I could do some hemp cigarettes that were just like the all natural blue pack, or if I wanted to, or the yellow pack would be the all natural, or the white pack. And then maybe if I put some lavender in with the hemp, I could do the blue pack. And I started spinning on some of that. And that's where the brand really got its roots in all of that. So within 2 weeks of seeing that Amazon ad, I was like, I think within a month I was on Amazon as a seller as well. And I had a product to market, which was thisthat CBD pre-rolls in a tube, and got the website going quickly after that. And eventually within a year or so, I was able to get the Buddies brand, the company I was selling into the recreational market with. They allowed me to piggyback on their license, because the license is in Oregon for recreational businesses, and is much way out of my ability to afford at that time. But so the owner of the company was super cool with me and allowed me to sell my brand thisthat off of his license and into the marketplace. So I actually had thisthat CBD pre-rolls and thisthat THC pre-rolls that I had done, and that were being sold into the Oregon dispensaries out there. Cool. And now fast forward, here we are about 2.5 years ago. I kind of was getting burnt out on selling for Buddies and my brand thisthat. At the time I had launched it, and I was with Buddies doing my brand part-time and their brand full-time. And it was just, I wanted to start focusing more on my brand. So I actually was able to talk them into I wanted to quit. So I said, if I quit, would you please give my sister my job? And they did. They agreed to that because they liked me. And my sister was cool. And so my sister is now still helping all of the accounts that I used to help as a sales rep out there, which is really nice. But so I quit, and then I had some rental cars, and I had some rental cars, and I was driving Lyft and Uber after I quit, and I was just kind of like piecing together an income. And so then my girlfriend at the time, who is still my girlfriend, got a job out in Texas, and my father was like 98 at the time, and I didn't have any firm commitments or jobs in Oregon at the time. So I was like, you know what, I'll move back to Texas. I want to be around my dad, you know? So that actually is the reason I came back to Texas, and I was offered a job by another hemp brand. And so for the first year I was living in Texas, I was still doing my brand part-time, and I was representing another larger brand in the marketplace as a sales rep for that company. And while I was repping for them and getting to know the stores and the sweet business owners out here in Texas, and I started to kind of see a pathway to relaunch my brand and not focus on CBD pre-rolls, but focus on D9 and THCa products, which is where my passion is, as well as CBD as well. So
we do have such a good culture here too. Like genuinely, every time I've had to sell a product to a store or had to forge some sort of relationship with manufacturers or something, we honestly do have like a really good culture here. It's honestly crazy. Yeah. It's definitely developed. I wouldn't say it was always this collaborative and friendly and cordial, but as time has gone on and you know, people have kind of like made it through the funnel and the tip of the spear, I think more of us have that more community aspect. When you were starting this out, right, you had all this experience in the past with other brands, businesses, ventures, markets. what made you want to do it on your own? Like, what was the thing that you thought you could maybe do better or more unique for the consumer and made you actually start this and push harder?
That is a great question.
Because there's always something, right? Because as
Absolutely.
consumers, we see pitfalls in brands. We're like, this could have been better, or the quality is not what I thought it would be, or whatever. So, like, what did you see as kind of a pain point that you wanted to fix for folks?
So basically, in my time in Oregon, I developed some relationships with some people who were master growers and master extraction teams, and so I synced up with some people out there that are my partners for my product in the extraction, and they are amazing humans. I will know them for the rest of my life. I will love them forever. They are family. And then they also have a brand that is being sold into the recreational cannabis space on the West Coast. And when I first moved to Texas, we started to talk, and I said, "Hey guys, there's opportunity in hemp out here," and they started developing a method, SOP of how we could kind of do what we are doing now. And so our main thing is in order to have a bomb extract, you have to put bomb in.
Starts with the grow.
Yeah, and so gold in, gold out. Anything else is it's noticeable by the right consumers who know their cannabis. And so, yeah, that was kind of the thing. Is I had developed a relationship with some people who care dearly about the quality of the flower and also about the extraction process. And so, we launched in the last year and a half our live resin vape products, which we do cartridges, 510 threaded cartridges in 1 gram size. And then we do 2 different size disposable or all-in-one, which is a 1 gram and a 2 gram offering. And then we have 10 different strains that we offer in those 3 different hardwares for a total of 30 different vape options at this time. And we are about to launch 0.5 gram live rosin disposables that are going to be, I think I'm going to have 10 strains for the market all at once to launch with. And they're going to be...
I love rosin.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. Well, I'm into both live resin and live rosin.
Yeah,
they both are,
totally.
I consider them to be both top shelf product if done right. As long as the inputs going into them are fire, then I like both a lot. And so, I am very excited we are able to use the same extract, that high quality gold, the live resin and the live rosin that we are using is also what we are putting into the edibles and to make them strain specific. And so that's been.
So what do you think is like one of the more unique pieces of that over other brands? What do you think is the stickiness for people?
Yeah, we pay our pricing, everything that we do, it costs more on our end. That's why my prices are a little bit higher than a lot of the rest of the market, because the 2 farms that we partner with are 2 small family farms that grow completely organically, and then all soil, no-till growing, and basically they charge a lot for their input materials, and we pay it because we know the terps are there, the full spectrum is there, and it's the flower that we would be smoking in our pipe. It's the same thing we would want to put through the extraction machines. And so that's kind of I would say our inputs is what sets us apart, because a lot of companies and in this space, it's very easy to fake the funk.
Totally.
And a lot of brands are using fake terps.
Yeah, you can add stuff back in.
Calling it weed names, but then it's not actually cannabis derived terpenes, and so
I hate that.
there's a lot of that in the marketplace. So I just experience of coming Oregon, I would consider to be the most arrogant cannabis recreational market. The growers in that scene, and then the standards for high quality and for small batch and organic are just very high there. And so a lot of brands, that's their focus, and I find when I go to California or Colorado or other recreational cannabis markets that there isn't that much care for such a thing. Totally. So, yeah,
that's something I'm passionate about too, is like getting people to realize that especially in the hemp market and in Texas, buying a product that is $2, $3, $5 more than what a big conglomerate company will offer. Oftentimes there's a reason why it's more, probably because behind that is a smaller business, higher quality, many different factors. But we're in a place right now where there is not some large green tax. There's not some large local tax that's overbearing on you. You're paying sales tax. So there's a little, to me, there should be more room for the consumers to indulge in some of those higher quality or higher price point products, because that's really why that ticket price is there. Oftentimes it's not for the packaging or the device, it's for the raw material that gets put into that and how far that goes. And I've said this on other episodes, but like when you purchase a vape from 3Chi for $39, and I'm just guessing here, you know, that $39, that doesn't make them get up in the morning. They don't care about you. There's probably a super thin margin behind that. Versus if you buy this, that sale goes so much farther for a small venture that's backed by other small batch people in this industry. And I really hope that people start to see more of who is behind these brands, because at the end of the day, like, you're choosing something for your wellness or to put in your body or to or people to trust with something like that. I feel like it's important that there's a certain quality standard that is behind your brand that you're using, versus just taking what's ever the cheapest or what's ever the most readily available. Oftentimes the cheapest, most readily available are not that good a product, or the bad actors or import, because there's a reason why it's so cheap, right? I mean, that's just how it is. Yeah. But I think that's very important that I wanted to highlight here, because I really am trying to put a platform for more people that are starting to set that quality standard and explain to shop owners and consumers, like, if it's a little more, there's likely a reason. It's not just highway robbery for a product. It's probably cared about more because there's smaller operations going on. I'm a small operation. I know that's true. Mm-hmm. So buy from more people like Brent, from ThisThat. That's definitely the consensus here. Dude, so what do you think about the market right now? Because we talk about this off camera. Like, there's an explosion. There's a huge demand right now. There's a lot of freedoms, even though they're under attack. There's a lot of cannabis freedoms that exist in this market. And I think that's made headway and gotten us a lot of attention. When there's darkness maybe in other cannabis markets, there's been light here, even though we're under attack. Like, you see how motivated people are for the plant, the freedoms. But what's your honest take of how everything's going to go? What do you think of the industry right now?
Well, I really am very grateful for the structure that is in place here in Texas specifically. It actually is almost, there's a couple of things missing, but the structure of our market here, in our hemp market, and the rules that we must all abide by, and is very similar to already what a recreational cannabis market offers. The couple of things we're missing, where we're screaming for,
we're
the
literally
age,
screaming
21 and up, and then tightening up the packaging so that it's not advertising to minors, and all of the obvious is that we're all in favor for. But if they can help us, get that sorted out. We are a hybrid state that nobody, I don't believe that they've figured out how to have a rec and a hemp merge together in the state. There, everything's getting ripped apart and separated. Or in any THC state, hemp is banned. Any intoxicating cannabinoids from hemp are banned. In Oregon or Washington or California, or most of the THC states. Right. So it's really just. It is up in the air. I speculate, and I'm very optimistic and so hopeful that in Texas here we can figure out how to give the hemp businesses the regulations needed to be able to do what we are currently doing, and then just do it more in compliance, and just what regulations do come, so
totally agree with that, dude. I mean, I've been telling everybody, this is one of the most underrated, unadulterated cannabis markets that has existed, and I think a lot of the hemp folks do a superior job of maintaining a rec style market.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, people are still using us for a large list, long list of like wellness and health and medicinal reasons. But if you look at it like as the structure where anybody can go in over 21, get access to this product, pick and choose what method they would like, or they can choose not to go in there and buy that stuff. So it's just like alcohol. It's just like a bar, you know. So like there's I think good to it, and I think a lot of people have gotten keen to that as of late versus the last few years, which is good and bad, scary and exciting. But I'm also hopeful on how this is going to go, because I think what they wanted to do was paint a picture of us being bad actors, dangerous. And I just think that the people who showed up and the people who have been pushing media and press, we're just not that. And we're doing a great job kind of portraying that. And so I think we've definitely made some headway, and I'm eager to see how this goes. But, you know, there's a lot of things here that have gone right for the plant, I believe. And you said, you know, merging rec and hemp, like the cannabinoids on molecular level are the same, you know? So that's like, it's very interesting. We talk about all the time. Why do people demonize hemp or anything? And it's usually only about money. But, you know, I think we're seeing an incredible time in Texas history, cannabis history, where there is kind of there already is a rec market here. It's just not fitting the bill of what everyone has expected it to be and how it has to play out. And I think that's kind of like in line with what you were saying earlier too, about like even how we have to talk about things and discuss things. It's like, I feel like people are just kind of, the learning curve is just being handled with just so much access to information. And so I think more people are going to get wise to what they can find more readily available from a person like you that's shipped like directly to their door, and they don't have to go to these great links or share their information with some random doctor to access something that's federally legal, you know?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I'm optimistic in the sense, and there's House Bill 4242 as well coming up, gives us all of the stuff we're asking for, literally, without chopping us down at the knees. So everyone watch out for that one. We'll be definitely supporting that as well. 454 Bags provides post-harvest products like oversized tote liners, trellis netting, turkey bags, and the all-new BioCure bags to help growers optimize their yields and preserve quality. 454 is releasing a superior bag for less than half the price of other brands. Also, these guys cover sales tax to keep costs low and fair. So when you order from 454 Bags, you're not just getting high quality bags, you're getting a reliable service designed to make your life easier. So don't settle when it comes to preserving your hard work. Choose 454 Bags and you'll see why all the biggest names in cannabis trust their stuff. If you visit 454bags.com today and you use the code ColtonLuther420, you can get 10% off of your entire order forever. You can get subscriptions and you can use my code to get that 10% off every single time, not just on your first order. So check out 454 Bags. We use them in the grow currently. We swear by them, and they're the next best thing for post-harvest cannabis material. Okay, we have a legal hemp lineup here of different products. You've had experience in rec and medical markets. When you got feedback from folks in both of these, are you hearing the same things and the same positive influences that this is having on people's livelihood and health that you were in other rec and medical markets?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's been very encouraging. I visiting stores quite often. I only work with, I want to say less than 30 retailers, but I'm in about 25 stores. And the stores I've chosen to work with intentionally are the ones that are, the owners are passionate about cannabis, and you know they're merchandising and carrying the cleanest and best products that they possibly can. You know, and so the feedback I get from people that I offer samples to or customers that have purchased from me online is just everything is so positive and uplifting. If there is a negative, you know, of course we're here for money back returns, you know, and if it is a negative, it's because of a leak from a vape cartridge or
Mhm.
something, which is very common.
Yeah, not quality related.
Yeah, but our return rate is very low, so I'm very grateful for that as well. The hardware we use is intentional. It doesn't have a lot of issues, so all those things. But from a medical review standpoint, I have heard nothing but positive about the medicine I offer the community, and it's just been the coolest thing. I walk into stores, like I said, I'm visiting stores, and I hear people, customers coming in, oh, can I get a this, that? And I'm like in the room, and I want to be like, thank you. And a lot of times I say, hello, I'm Brent. I own the company. I'm super grateful for your purchase. And, if I've got an extra vape on me and they're buying two, I do a buy two, get one free right on the spot, just kind of hook it up. But no, it's been great. I do a lot of dab bars because I do offer live
I've
rosin
seen you
dabs
out at events and stuff. It's
and
cool.
so, a lot of times when I'm offering that at a party or an event, I've given several dabs to people who've never had a dab before, and that's always been kind of neat. And a lot of times it's been somebody in their 70s or 80s who's, have interested and curious, and they'll stand along the side and watch 10 people get served, and then they come up and they're like, I'm ready, I want to try too, and it's like it's been a magical experience all around. Yeah.
When you're selling to stores, what objections do you usually get from folks? Like because I know you said you're picky on kind of like who you work with. They have to align. I think that's amazing. But obviously everyone, especially in sales and negotiations, people usually have pushback or fear and stuff like that. What are you hearing when you're talking about the quality standards that you set, how serious you take this, how good these products are? What are you hearing as far as pushback that maybe some of this media can manage for you when you go to get a next partner for retail?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's, I would say the number one objection to be expected would be your product costs more than a lot of what else is on the market. And, and telling the story and educating, the store owner and having that translate down to the bud tenders and getting the message to the consumer is where the work is. And that is that. So I think we've talked a bit about how passionate the whole team behind me is about the quality of the flower and the extraction process, and just gold in, gold out. And then I can just try to keep that as our motto, And so I think that's kind of where we are on all that.
What do you think flips them from being price conscious and so concerned about, 5 cents, 10 cents, it's things that I think are ridiculous when it comes to this amount of quality and this industry. The demand's there. So I always hate getting hung up on things like that. But what do you think gets them over the line?
Well, so if the owner of the store or the manager I'm working with is willing to just give us a chance, a lot of times they get us on the shelf and they're surprised because they're like, oh my, it works. People are willing to pay a little more for this quality that you offer, so just getting that extra push to just take a couple vapes in and try to sell them is it does work when they do. But I think it's like, if you walk in, you say, these are my prices, and they're like, that's too expensive. They literally are like, that's what they manifest.
Right.
So sometimes I realize they're right. I'm in the wrong store because this store doesn't have clientele that buys top shelf very often. So product would just sit and not turn over quick enough for this retailer. So I don't believe that I am a good fit for every retailer, as well, because of if it is pricing is the main objection. But other than that, everyone loves
I think where we're going with everything too will kind of thin some of that out, having people even be able to sell some stuff that's pennies on the dollar. I think hopefully sometimes we can, or in the future, we can get to a point where it's more of like a local, small batch, work with, people you like, B2B, rather than, how can I get 10,000 units of it for 10 cents each, and everybody got to make their money. Like I know how retail works. Like, you guys can have at it in the comments, but just in my perfect world for Texas, like getting good actors propped up, bolstered, and offered to our people over crap. That's the only way to really put it. Because, there's implications to that, and there's dangers there. Just, nobody's trying to deny that. But, we oftentimes, like you just admitted, are fighting with our hands behind our back against things that are super, super cheap, can flood the market, have different things in them that they maybe shouldn't. Nobody cared about the quality. No, it's not gold in, gold out. It's money in, money out that they're super worried about. And that's something that's out there, and I like to highlight that there are other options. And again, just everyone be thankful we're in Texas and we have this quality available to us. That maybe it is a few dollars more, but again, we're so lucky to be able to dodge some of these like taxes and weights that all these licensing fees and testing fees and regulation brings to a small business, especially a small business. So that's really cool to highlight. When people finally get the product in their store, right? They understand the value. And you're telling me that they then create even more clientele or consistency with people because they're coming back and asking for this again. There's repeat buyers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Right. Some of the feedback I hear is
who specifically offers your stuff right now that you like.
So, well, everybody,
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Everybody I work with, we're all literally family. Over time, I haven't actually added many retail accounts to who I've been selling to. I've literally almost been selling to the same 25 to 30 stores for like the last 6 months. Really.
Loyalty.
And we're working on growing now. I've brought on some sales people to help me because I can't do it all. I have been doing it all for the past year and a half though. So growing slowly, but I'm sorry, what was the specific?
Like who shout outs to any specific retailers?
So absolutely. So in the Austin area, if you're around town, I would say that you can find our product in Green Cross, ATX, Cozy Cannabis, Cosmic Cowboy, and Mary J sells our brand. Pretty much all of the cannabis forward focused retailers are carrying this at this time. But those are off the top of my head, the shops that you can visit today. And
so when we talk about shopping, how do you help people or by obviously you're offering this brand, but especially with the retailers you work with, how can people start to navigate around this saturated market with all of the products and the different brands and quality levels and price points? How would you give advice to getting to the right product for me? Like, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of cut that out and offer direction for people looking that are maybe new or switching from some other brand?
Absolutely. Well, first off, not all retailers are equal. And
that is so true.
I would highly advise to avoid, if you're looking for quality product, I would avoid a purchase from a gas station or a convenience store or anything like that. I would say that if you visit the shops that are cannabis forward, hemp retailers, some of them do not carry even nicotine at all. I would say that's a good start, to start with the retailers that are focused on cannabis, specifically hemp, legal products, and finding the best within our legal hemp market, and so it seems like almost all the retailers I work with are like obsessed with finding the newest, best brand that is the small, great products, to carry. And, one thing I know is I haven't, bandwidth and capacity, I have not been able to sell to any distributors or wholesales or any of that, because I just have wanted to offer, keep my customer service to my current retailers solid before I start to expand and sell.
Well, dude, I'm a big fan of direct, like getting distro involved is just a quick way to just take a hit on your margin and kind of lose some control of things too. And that's
the main reason for me that I haven't been motivated is I just it's because I'm so picky about the retailers that are selling our brand. And it's like I'm just not really trying to find my brand in a gas station ever or anything like that.
And it goes both ways, everybody, especially retailers that watch this and see these clips. Like people that care about their branding and where they land, it works for you too, because then you have brands in your shop that care about you and your retail and that you're a certain way and a certain standard. And it eliminates a lot of problems or stress and headaches between doing business with a company. And I think like a lot of times too, the distro also kind of affects that relationship. And I'm a big push for B2B. You know, you can get salespeople for basically free up front. You know what I mean? Like, you can get people that can go out and make deals and push your product, and they don't cost you anything until they get something done. You know, it's a great option for smaller businesses. And, you know, I've actually had success showing that to brands and then using it even in my own ventures, where it's people ask, you know, well, like, what distributor do you all use? We just go direct. Our product's too good. That's what I always say. It's just too good to let go. And so, yeah, that's cool that we highlighted, you know, some of the retail spots and how that is. And there's a lot of noise, man. There's a lot of myths and misconceptions. Do you battle that a lot? Do you battle like people kind of saying like, nah, I don't want that because of this, or I'm looking for this, even that's like probably not what they're really looking for?
Oh, you know, I in complete honesty, there's been very few unhappy customers that I've had to, you know, and as I said, most of the issue would ever be it's a vape hardware issue, and it's like we always are.
So you're finding people that already know what they want.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're coming, no questions asked. I want, you know, vape gummies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Flower. Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. We still get questions like, you know, I don't want this, I don't want that. Or people like they want to say like indica or sativa or hybrid and all this stuff. And especially like with some of the edibles and stuff, I'm like, well, you know, it's kind of going to be there, but you're going to feel it. Just trust me.
Yeah.
You're going to feel it. It's not so much about that. But yeah, it's cool to see that there's not a huge learning curve the way that it used to be, where people are seeing things on this and thinking, you know, oh, that's fake weed. That's fake, synthesized, loophole. We have those cancerous words that we hate.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
This is all legitimate. These atoms on side by side, they're going to be the same.
Proudly. And
proudly.
Also, if I didn't have a quality product, I wouldn't even have a brand right now, because I wouldn't do it if I didn't have that much confidence in what I was offering, you know, which is it's a good thing to be, a good place to be there. Yeah.
Totally. And it's grown rapidly. So, you know, are you getting this more community built around that? Are you guys got subscribers? You're kind of like digging in more to social now? Like,
absolutely. Yeah. We're working currently, I would say a lot more aggressively, because Texas is getting a little hostile towards our businesses. But so, you know, I'm basically in survival mode at this time, making sure that we have enough business out of state to sustain us, and if the laws do change here. So that's a push right now, is to have the sales reps I'm currently training and working with. My nephew is one of them, and it's very nice to have that. And so, yeah, we're, you know, obviously expanding within Texas right now. A lot of folks are approaching us, and we're working on some new partnerships locally, while focusing out of state. And then, you know, we've got a need to definitely improve our following on thisthat CBD on Instagram. So we're working to build the following there.
This is a great start.
As we can. Yes,
this is a great start for sure.
And you know, our website the business is actually starting to do pretty good on e-commerce side of things. And
you guys have a great website. Great website.
Thank you. Yeah,
so smooth.
There's a buddy you may know, Jim, and with CMC Organic.
Yep.
And he does great work on Shopify websites.
That is our official SEO and website partner of Texas Growers Podcast.
Oh, okay. So you're using Jim as well. There you go.
We love Jim and everything he does, man.
Shout out.
Swear by Jim. If you're not using Jim, you're messing up.
He's great. Yeah. Shout out to brother Jim. And so I think you know, the efforts of us you know, approaching out of state businesses to kind of expand our brand that way, in that direction, as well as the e-commerce focus that we're doing with the SEO work, and then some ads we're running on Meta and things like that is going to help us very much in the now. Right now, over the weekend, I probably got about 3 times as many orders on the website as we did last weekend. Sign up on the website, please. Get your email, and then we will send you a promo code if you do that.
Yes, these guys do great marketing. Great website, very easy to use. They're going to have some good content coming up here. So make sure you stay tuned for that and follow them. Check them out, thisthat CBD.com.
Yes, sir.
And check out all of their great products. Sign up for their marketing. Engage with these folks. They're obviously setting a standard quality. They care about you out there. So if you're curious about finding a new brand, finding some different products to fit your wellness journey, whatever you're looking for, definitely check out Brent and thisthat CBD. They've got it going on. If you guys liked what you saw here, please subscribe to this channel. We are bringing more of the best and brightest Texas operators to the table to talk and tell their story. It is more important now than ever to get more of these good actors out here and documented so that we can continue this fight and keep uplifting all these amazing people and these amazing stories of why we're all here fighting. If you haven't checked out Grow World, you are making a mistake. So if you're looking for a new lighting partner, nutrients, IPM, anything, you can sign up on Grow World for absolutely free and get access to all of the best brands in the entire industry. That is growworld.com. Nick is over there. He makes amazing content on YouTube as well. He has a large network, and you can see inside of some of the best facilities all over the world. So you can subscribe to Grow World Ag on YouTube as well. If you have any interest in reaching out to your representatives, now is the time. If you consume this plant, if you have a business, anything to do with this industry, now is the time to continue to reach out to your representatives. If you want any advice or direction on how to do that, you can reach out to me, and I can also put you in contact with other collectives and people that have these groups that are literally designed to help you navigate some of this. You don't have to do it on your own. It's not as scary and nerve-wracking as you may think. And a lot of times on the other end of the phone, these people are very receptive. We will never change people's minds if we stay quiet. We will never get the exposure we need if we stay quiet. This fight is not about cannabinoids, and it's not really even about hemp. What this is government overreach, and it's absolutely a violation of freedoms. And if we start giving up bits and pieces of our freedoms, it's very difficult, I would say impossible most of the time, to get them back. And that's what this true fight is about. It's about Texas cannabis freedoms, the freedom for you to access these cannabinoids or not if you so choose. And that's why we're all so passionate, is to hear these amazing stories from veterans, hear these amazing stories from parents, and even people of all different ages with different uses for these products. So let's keep the faith. Everyone keep a positive attitude, remain optimistic, and always support local brands like Brent here and thisthat CBD, and stay tapped in with the Texas Growers podcast. So we have a lot more influential and amazing stories that you are going to want to hear. So with that, we'll see you on the next one.